Hey guys, it's me, Zell, and we are here with another Star Wars reaction video for a fan-made film. I'm working my way through all the popular Star Wars fan-made stuff, all that good stuff, tributes. So today we are going to watch the Anakin Skywalker, A Hero with No Fear, with Sith Rain. This is from Doodoo Films. So this one's been recently recommended. I haven't seen all the original trilogy yet, so after I finish that, I can get through some of the other ones. But these ones have been safe to watch before that. So looking forward to that. Obviously, Anakin Skywalker is a pivotal character in at least the trilogies, and both the prequels, the original trilogy, and the sequels. So Skywalker, that's kind of the big determining character in all this. So I wasn't a big fan of him at first when, you know, I knew Anakin. I knew enough about original trilogy to know that Anakin was Vader, and not knowing much about him, he didn't seem like a big exciting character. But after watching, and then even seeing the prequels, I had seen them once before but knew very little. Again, he didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But seeing the Clone Wars, you appreciate him way more. You see him, character depth, you get a little bit more of his background, you get to know a little bit more of his story and his struggles and all the loss he's had. Is a very tragic character. So looking forward to seeing this. He's a very interesting character, like I said, and it'll be cool to see his story. So let's see what it's about, shall we? Let's get to it. The following narration is read from Revenge of the Sith. Oh, okay. I have not read that, but I probably will eventually.
This is Anakin Skywalker, the most powerful Jedi of his generation, the fastest, the strongest. He is the best there is, perhaps the best there will ever be. The HoloNet calls him the hero with no fear, but fear lives inside him anyway, chewing away at the firewalls around his heart. Children on Tatooine tell stories.
He was known to have fear, but he definitely fights without fear.
Those that power everything from starships to pod racers. But Anakin's fear is another kind of dragon, a cold kind. A dead kind, but not nearly dead enough.
Fear of loss.
Years ago, a minor mission had brought them to a fringe system. One so immeasurably old that its star had long ago turned into a frigid dwarf. Anakin couldn't remember what the mission might have been, but he'd never forgotten that dead star. It had scared him. Stars can die? He knew then that everything dies, and in time, even stars burn out. This is the kind of fear that lives inside Anakin Skywalker.
So cool.
The dragon of that dead star. Every day he wrestles with his dragon, but for all his strength, he can't push back. He's losing, and nothing can stop the ancient, cold, dead voice within his mind that whispered in his darkest moments, "All things die." But within his
he doesn't like that. He tries to stop it all the time.
And he found her, far away, alone in the dark. And for an instant, he was her. He was the beating of her heart, and he was the motion of her lips, and he was her soft words as though she spoke a prayer to the stars.
Aww.
And her purity, and her passion, and the truth of her love flowed into him and through him. And every atom of his being screamed to the Force.
So dramatic, just like Anakin.
The Force had no answer for him. The dragon did. All things die, Anakin Skywalker.
Everything.
Even stars burn out. Now, no wisdom of Yoda's, no teaching of Obi-Wan's, not one scrap of Jedi lore came to him that could choke the dragon down. But there was an answer. One he had, for years, hidden from sight.
An answer he thinks.
Anakin stopped. His agony evaporated. It was simple. All he had to do was decide what he wanted.
No.
The dragon again tried to whisper a failure, of weakness, of inevitable death. But with one hand he caught it, crushed away its voice, and broke its power with a single effortless twist. I am Darth Vader, he repeated, as he ground the dragon's corpse to dust beneath his mental heel, as he watched the dragon's dust and ashes scatter before the blast from his furnace heart. And you are nothing at all. He had become, finally, what they had all called him. The hero with no fear.
Because he had all the loss. He lost everything, so he has nothing to fear anymore. Oh my gosh, the clone babies.
This is Anakin Skywalker. This is Darth Vader. This is the fear of the dragon.
Oh my gosh.
But then you open your eyes, and the first dawn of light in your universe brings pain. The light burns you. It will always burn you. You can hear yourself breathing. It becomes hard and harsh, and it scrapes at nerves already raw. But you cannot stop it. You cannot even slow it down. It is only when you start to speak, and another voice speaks for you.
Oh my gosh.
You remember all of it. The dragon that brought forth Vader from your heart to slay. The cold venom in Vader's blood. The furnace of Vader's fury. And the black hatred of seizing her throat to silence her lying mouth. And there is one blazing moment in which you finally understand that there was no dragon.
There was no dragon.
That there was no Vader.
There's
There
only
was
you.
Only you. Only Anakin Skywalker.
See, it's always Anakin.
That it was all you.
Oh.
Is you. Only you. You killed her. You killed her because when you could have saved her, when you could have gone away with her, when you could have been thinking about her, you were thinking about yourself.
You were
It is
Anakin.
in this blazing moment that you finally understand the trap of the dark side, the
Selfishness.
final cruelty of the Sith. Because now, yourself is all you will ever have. You rage and scream to crush the shadow who has destroyed you. But you are
Albie.
so far less now than what you were. You are more than half machine. You are like a painter gone blind, a composer gone deaf. You can remember where the power was, but the power you can touch is only but a memory. Now the shadow is all you have left, because the shadow understands you. The shadow forgives you. The shadow gathers you unto itself, and within your furnace heart, you burn in your own flame.
Oh my gosh.
This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker. Forever.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I forgot. I didn't. That backwards cut. Whoa. What good transitions they did. Comparison. Oh my gosh. Well, that makes you really interested in the book. How interesting is that? What interesting symbolism and comparison, like that Anakin's like so, you know, so much people, you know, people want to separate them, but it's all him, the dark side, the lure of, like, and that was what, like, he became more and more selfish as he got closer to the dark side, because he starts to crave and feed into those emotions of power and strength, and ultimately loving and taking care of the things he loves is ultimately reflected back on him, right? It wasn't, he never let them do what they wanted out of this selflessness of his heart. He wanted things to fall into place for his self, and that was ultimately, like, a big, you know, the whole thing with him. Interesting thing to think about, that's ultimately, at least that's how I interpreted it. That's how I interpreted them, their description of that. Very interesting indeed. Anakin's a very tragic character. I've always said he's very in tune with his emotions, and not in a good way. He definitely lets them get the best of him. He definitely lets them control him. He doesn't have a great sense of control. The most control he seems to have that I notice is when he was actually with Palpatine, and it seems like just by sheer, again, Palpatine's just that much more powerful that Vader would bow down to him. He never really was that way. Like, he never really had control. We saw in Clone Wars, he never really had, you would know, he had moments here and there, but he always had, like, he fought it mentally. You know, like, you could see in his face, it was always like irritation and anger that it didn't go his way. You know, that was always a battle for him. But so it's really sad about that. He, you know, I love the comparison they did there with showing the Force choke on his enemies and then flashing over to Padme. That in that moment, that's how similar it was. It was just like another person in his way and be gone. Even though he loved Padme, even though he cared so much, he gave up so much for her, it was actually for him. You know, that's just too, as much as it all was him, it was two parts of him himself he was battling. He cared so much that he, you know, he could never overcome his own emotions. I don't know. There's a lot of things going in my brain I'm not describing well. They describe it. A lot of illusion in this tribute was really good. Very much that way. So brilliantly done by them. Really good editing together the pieces in comparison of the story. Whew. Yeah, Anakin's been through a lot. I'm excited to see further into the original trilogy about Vader, and then more about that part of his life, since I know more about Anakin versus the Darth Vader part. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm definitely more interested in a discussion about him, so if you guys have any thoughts about this video, about Anakin in particular, please share that below in the comments. Thank you so much to Doodoo Film for putting out this great video, this good tribute to him, well narrated and edited, so really pleased to be able to see that. And thanks again, guys. If you want to see more, certainly subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.